So I'm here to talk about a mic check and a line check. This is probably one of the most important things to ensure a successful show, and it has to be done every show and every dress rehearsal, and I usually do it every rehearsal also. So first is the line check. The line check is usually pretty relaxed. You get in here, you turn the board on, the actors are getting the costumes, you still have, 4 or 5 hours to the start of the show. You do a line check. A line check is super simple. It's checking anything with a line, meaning you go and you put pink noise through the monitors to make sure they're on the right channel. It's called pinking the monitors. You saw how we do pink noise. You can do that from the editor on the computer or an iPad. Then you go and check the stationary mics, like the floor mics and the fly mics, to make sure they're good, and checking the aux and things like that. Super relaxed. Rarely any issues there. That's where you notice any patching issues. And then you'll have your time set for your miking, which is usually about 20 minutes. Once an actor gets mic'd during that 20 minutes, they come straight to the booth. Meaning, let's say Julia, I just made up a name, is the first person to get mic'd. The second she gets mic'd, she'll come over here and she'll come to the board. You'll find Julia on your board, and then you'll tell Julia to do a couple things. This is to make sure her mic is placed properly and there's no issue. First is to talk to you. Now this seems easy, but when someone says, talk to me, people rarely have anything to say. So you want to tell them what to say usually. Like say the alphabet, or what did you have for breakfast? And then they'll talk and talk and talk, and then you'll tell them, move your head around. So they'll be talking and looking left and right and up and down, and they'll be talking to you and moving their head in a circle to make sure their connection's not loose and their tape isn't too tight. And then I'll usually have them jump or maybe run a little bit if they have crazy choreography to make sure their pack is in place and their mic tape is fine. And once they do that, you'll tell them mic check is at insert time here. It's usually shortly after that. And to be on stage on the apron. That's where we'll conduct the mic check. Once everyone gets mic'd, you'll meet on the apron. As the crew chief or the A1, there's a lot of things going on, and you have to hold your own schedule. You get, permission from the director or technical director for what time you want to start miking, what time you want the mic check to start, and what time the mic check ends. And it's up to you to hold them to that time. No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to be like, oh yeah, it's time for the mic check. You have to go and start a mic check. Now, this may seem brash or rough, but if they're not at the mic check, they don't get a microphone. It's simple. In a professional theater, an actor walking around or eating lunch when a mic check's going on wouldn't happen. They would get fined by the stage manager. But we can't do that. We can't fine them, so I'll just take their mic away. Because if you're not checked, if I don't know your mic's good, I'm not going to risk sending you on stage with a mic I don't know works. So that's the mic check. Actually conducting the check itself. You'll be lined up on stage. You have to get quiet in the house. That's really simple. You just yell, quiet in the house. It helps to have front lighting on. So if you can yell to lighting or get them on comms and say, turn the cats on, that way you can see their face. Because when you're back here, it's very difficult to tell who is who. But you want to have a scene on your board labeled mic check. I made this mistake last time, and I ran it off the master, and I very quickly realized I don't know who RF6 is, and they don't know who RF6 is. So I have the scene made right here, this is for Beauty and the Beast, that is all the people mic'd in the beginning. And then I go from the board left to right. And I'll give them a few commands. It helps to have a microphone here. That way you can put it in the monitors and talk to them without having to scream. Though sometimes you do have to scream because you don't have a mic for whatever reason. But here's what it normally looks like. I'll pick a channel. I'll usually go left to right. So I'll pick Belle, and I'll say, Belle! And I'll give her a chance to respond, and everybody will, get quiet. You might have to yell quiet in the house if they're being really loud and rambunctious. And then if it's a musical, you're going to want them to sing and talk. So you'll start with talk to me or tell me a story, and they'll talk for a little bit. It helps if they can't think of anything to say give me some lines. And then have them sing for a minute if they're a large singing part. And then have them move around. I usually say sing and walk back, like backwards, and then sprint or stage run downstage. That way you can make sure there's not too much handling noise. And then move their head around if you think that might be an issue. I know for this play we had 10 by 10s on either side of the stage, right below the mains, and I had feedback issues a lot. especially with louder people. So I might have someone who I was having feedback issues with the last show of rehearsal to go over there and give some lines. And then I'll say, okay, Belle, you're good. And we'll move on to Gaston. And we'll do the same thing, and we'll go all the way down until we get everyone on the board and everyone's mic check. Once the mic check is done, say mic check complete, and then send them off, because usually house will be opening shortly. Or if it's a musical, they'll usually have vocal warm-ups right after. They're do la da 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 da, whatever it is the actors do, and they'll sing a couple songs, and that is your chance to get a mix. During a mic check, do not take that time to equalize or to set a compressor or to set a gate. You can check those things, like if you're worried about a compressor, like you're like, I might have it set too rough or I might not have it set hard enough, you can tell them to yell. I know I had an actor who had a line where she screamed and I never called it in the compressor. So during her mic check, I would be like, okay, Amanda, now scream for me. And she'd go, ah, and I could have a chance to dial in a compressor. But just during the mic check itself, you're not trying to get these fancy things done, because the mic check is nothing like the show. The show, they're going to be louder. The show, they might even have an accent, and they're a lot more serious. So setting those things during a mic check isn't necessarily the best thing. If you don't have anything at all, you can get a starting point, but setting them perfectly, don't waste your time spending 20 minutes on a mic. Just get it and move on, because you are usually in a time crunch when it comes to a mic check. You also have to fight to get your time. Fight may be too strong of a word, but you have to demand the time you need. And no one knows the time you need. It's up to you to go to the directors and say, here's the time I need. I usually try to ask for double the minimum I can get. So if they're like, can you do it in 20 minutes? And I know the fastest I can do it is 15, I'll usually ask for 25 or 30. Because a perfect mic check can, go as fast as possible, but usually it won't be. Usually you'll have somebody out there adjusting the pat gain to get things like that set, that way you're not clipping anywhere or anything like that. And that allows time for actors that aren't where they're supposed to be rounded up and start late. Because I've never had a mic check start at 4 o'clock. It's always started at 4:05 or something like that, because it's running a little behind with miking because you're miking so many people or something like that. Or they're having a meeting or something small. But the mic check is the most important part. And the longer you spend on it, the better it will be. You can tell the difference in a show between a 30-minute mic check and a 15-minute mic check. It does, go to the law of diminishing returns. An hour mic check is not that much better than a 50-minute mic check, but a 15-minute versus a 20-minute mic check is a huge difference. So try to get as much time as you can, but be reasonable. And always, always, always go to a director and try to get your time. Don't let them come to you and ask how much time you need. It makes you look like you're on point, and usually if they come to you, it's because they already have a schedule built. But if you go to them, when they walk in, you can build a schedule with them, and you can know you have the time you need. And that's really the mic check. Thank you.
Thank you.